So I'm still doing my preparation work to interpret Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is a bunch of steps. When you interpret them, these are mentally interactive steps for life. That's what we're going to pull from Ecclesiastes. However, it's hard to see, and I'll just work on it and show you what's going on. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. All right, so in setting things up, there's a couple of things that I've run into that I've kind of slowed down and had to look at. I wanted to do it from the NRSV because the NRSV just seems to be an easier read for comprehension. However, I right off the bat started running into some variations that whoever did the translation in the NRSV chose some words that varied from the original words that messed me up right off the bat. And I was like, yeah, something's not right here. Here I have Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 3 in the NRSV. And right here it uses the term mortals. I searched with my mind how to cheer my body with wine, my mind still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, until I might see what was good for mortals to do under heaven during the few days of their life. Now, in the King James Version, it does not use mortals, it uses sons of man. So you see I added that in here. Okay, the reason mortals is not a good choice is this. We have to interpret these. They're analogs. They're analogous terms. So what is a mortal? A mortal, if you're trying to describe what it is without interpreting, it's any human being on the planet. Okay, we're all mortals here. So how do you rise above? If you're using mortal as a term to express an unenlightened self, then to use the next stage, I've gone from an unenlightened mortal state to what? Now I have gone to an immortal state, which means now I am at the kingdom of heaven within. It really becomes a term that's going to be difficult to work with. People walking around saying, I'm immortal, I'm immortal. It's like, okay, that's not a good term. Son of man is very specific. When you look at the term son of man or sons of man or sons of men or whatever, they're describing a time in the human life. This is for each one of us. When we're a son of man is when we are living life just trying to fit in. I want to do this. I want to look this way. I judge this. I judge that. We're living through the world around us, growing up. And that is being a son of man right there. That is an unenlightened self. And then later on in Christian material, there's going to be a son of God that comes about, but never are you the God. You are never the immortal one. It always is the conscious, but yeah, it's a hierarchy. Anyway, so there's some translational issues in there that I look at and go, I don't like those. I'm still going to use it, but I'm going to have to be aware of that, and I'll make comparisons. But I also know from my experience with King James material what sounds okay and what doesn't. And mortals does not sound okay for King James. No, it does not. Or for the Old Testament. Yeah, for the Old Testament. As far as the Old Testament is concerned, there's one God and everybody's immortal. So how can you interact with that? You would have to know for yourself. And that's fine. That's what people in the religion believe. But in order to interact with it, you have to change that from mortal to immortal. I'm going from unenlightened to enlightened self. Now I am detached. I've come through my memories and I'm no longer living through them. I am now living through my higher awareness and not the memories. This is the most critical drop. This is the one nobody's going to catch unless you do what I'm doing right here. Nobody knows it this well anymore. If I search mortal is repeated exactly 7 times in the NRSV. In Ecclesiastes. If we go to the King James Version, all right, Ecclesiastes, we've got, number 1, it's on verse 8, and we're looking at sons of men. You see, I've already got it identified as 8 times, but if we look over here, if we had it memorized, we would know this. Sons of men is said exactly 8 times, which tells us it's a bad place to be. 8, 8. This is right after 7. This is 8. This is the day of circumcision. You're taking on things right here that are derogatory. So you can see how the changes will impact negatively on the capacity to interpret this for the person that knows that numbering system is there. And today people don't know it's there. People don't know the Bible well enough. Bible aficionados that are, really strong in the church, you don't know what's there. All right. I wanted to show you something else in here. That is a repeating motif. Motifs are things that are repeating in stories, like a flood, a flood, a flood. That's a repeating motif. However, there could be something that's more difficult to see, like I'm going to cross the Red Sea. I'm going to sail through the clashing rocks, both times barely making it, needing God's help. I'm going to go across the river Chebar in another biblical monomyth, and I don't recall which one right now, and you need God's help to do that as well. All of these are also repeating motifs, but they don't sound like it. Clashing rocks, Red Sea, River Chebar. They're all crossing, they're all in the water crossing something or going through a difficult threshold and needing God's help. That's the common motif. We start looking at conceptual mental motifs that are there. Those are the motifs I'm going after here. These are the ones that are hard to see. You have to be able to interpret the material and read it to see it. All right, this can get a little confusing. As I was reading Ecclesiastes, the NRSV, I came across this line: I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. And the male and the female slaves I couldn't reconcile. I needed a number count, so I went back to the King James Version, and it said, I got me servants and maidens and had servants born in my house. And I thought, okay, that actually makes sense. This one down here, the translation didn't. Up here, servants are good things, maidens, servants born in the house. I also had great possessions. See how that's repeated 13 times? Having been repeated 13 times right there tells me that great possessions is something I don't want. Of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. Now, bearing in mind that this is a mind state. Jerusalem is where you're playing this out. Your entire imagination inside your mind becomes Jerusalem. And all of these are in there. And these are things that you gather along the way. The male and the female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. What we have is servants and maidens and had servants born in the house. What this signifies is that we're gathering up life experiences along the way, and we have some qualities already that are, we make our own decisions. All of these servants are memories and qualities. They're mental states. Great possessions. We start gathering up a lot of things. This is opposite of poor in spirit, except that it's held in a different story format. Where this repeats, or where this appears before. Look at Genesis chapter 6 right here. We are in the story. We are that now from, instead of Jerusalem, that mind state is the world. You just shift it. All of that's there. And that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. We are the men, everybody's consciousness, and the daughters, this is a mental hierarchy. This is our inner qualities. And they took for themselves wives of all that they chose. And then there were giants as a result in the earth of those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them. And the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay, those weren't good men. They were big giants. That didn't really happen. What this signifies is that our inner qualities have become corrupted. Yeah, that's it. And now as a result, all of our joy and things like that are gone. Our happiness, our trust. Down here where we get into Genesis chapter 12 is where we see it being gathered up by Abram and Sarai. Chapter 12, this is as they move along, the princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. So this signifies our inner self now being corrupted by life. Pharaoh represents what the serpent represented earlier, the corruption of judgment of life. You've gone from a happy kid to, oh, man, now I hurt. Life sucks. We've gathered up things. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep and oxen and he-asses and men-servants and maidservants and she-asses and camels. These again represent the things that we're gathering up. It plays out in your mind. It's very old stuff. I'm not quite sure what they have going on here. But if you look for these numbers, you will find what's good. And we're picking up good and bad qualities along the way. When we get to Ecclesiastes down here to 2, yep, I got me servants and maidens and had servants born in my house also. I had great possessions of great and small cattle and all that were in Jerusalem before me. Do you see that it's a repeating motif? That it is when you understand that it's not about the world, but it's about what plays out in you, and that these represent somehow the gathering up of things in life We want to be poor in spirit, but we don't. These are all the memories and the judgments that we're gathering up along the way of life. That's what these represent here. So you're going to see that there is that in Ecclesiastes, there's not going to be too much new. However, there is going to be some fun things insofar as, it isn't a monomyth, but it tells you things like things continue to cycle. Here's life. It doesn't matter whether you're good or bad or aware of it or not. Things are going to happen whether you like it or not. Your wisdom, all the things that you're seeking, all of that. You know what? I want to show you one more thing. I am the person who is. I'm a repeat of this story. All right. What I want to say is how the story works is like this. Right now, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem. That is, I'm taking this path right here. So that's me. I become the preacher as I take this path. Now, the difference is I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to just do it in my mind. I'm going to do it in my mind and then verbalize what I'm doing. And the reason for that is down here at the bottom. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he instructed well and sought out and set in order and to understand many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even the words of truth. Acceptable, what I'm doing is putting it in plain language. Those are the acceptable words. Yeah, I am the preacher, the teacher in this cycle. But you know what? You just have to understand that read through the rest of it. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. What is here is not something that I came up with. It's something that's rolling along, and it has been for a long time. We're just becoming aware of the fact that we are living right side by side. We're living in this material and don't know it. We're faced outward. When we face inward and interpret the material and know that numbering pattern, or know how to work with the numbering pattern, we're at a deficit because we do not have them memorized deeply. Not just the story memorized, but how many times nouns and verbs are in there. That's going to be a tough thing. Without the computer, I never would have found that. But, okay. And then I continue to learn about it. It's deeper than what I think. Sometimes I think I got it, and then I realize, nope, there's still more to it. So I just want to get these things out there. I'm seeing common motifs. I've been questioned about the mystery of it and everything, and you look at it and go, actually, I see what it's doing. It's not exactly a monomyth, but it's somebody coming along and saying, okay, here's how life is. Here's how we come about. And it doesn't matter, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're a good person or a bad person. At some point in time, we're all dead and gone and nobody even remembers who you are. What's important in life? It really is a lesson in, really looking at yourself and wondering all of the things that we mentally glom onto. It's letting go. This is really a Buddha path. It's a Taoist path. It is a path to inner peace. It's going to accumulate these things and then let us know that now there's going to be cyclical things happening as a result of them, and we must let them go in order to not live with them. But we must understand that all of the things that you do at some point in time as you work for them are for the here and the now. That as far as long-term, it's like futility. You're just here to live. In a couple of generations, you won't even... I remember my grandparents. I don't remember my great-grandparents. At some point, we're going to be gone. Everybody will be. What's important now? All right. I'm looking forward to getting into that, but just wanted to get this on the table. There's some rough stuff in there, but I think I can manage it. All right. See you in the next video.